In part 1 of How to Machine Knit the Easy Toddler Pullover, our focus is on knitting the bodice. Worked from the bottom up, it features the automatic Picot Hem, a purl side out yoke with drop shoulders, and a rolled boat neckline. The companion pattern includes 3 sizes and is available by following the link in the description below. Since many techniques are used to create this pullover, should you need more detail on any one of them, I referenced my other videos and added the links to them in the description below. I'm using Bernat Softee Baby Cotton, a cotton and acrylic blend in 2 colors, aqua mist and cotton, which is an off-white. It works up nicely on the LK150. Keep in mind that the stitch gauge changes after washing and drying, so make sure to treat your swatch the same way you plan to treat the sweater. I washed my swatch in cold water, dried on low, and only then measured the gauge. So my carriage is set to knit in both directions, and my tension is set to 5. I'm going to pull 64 needles out to hold. That's 32 on the right, all the way across to 32 on the left. Then I'm going to retract half of the needles. We'll use those in a minute. We'll bring them back into work in a minute. But for right now, I'm going to cast on with waste yarn over every other needle. I'm going to hang my cast on comb, making sure I don't catch that end. And so now I'm just going to knit 6 or 7 rows more. This is a 2-color sweater, so I'm taking my blue at first because that's going to be down by the hem. And what I'm doing is I'm going to knit 8 more rows. Now notice I did not bring up every other needle yet, so I'm still knitting on every other needle. So there's my 8 rows. And now I'm going to bring up every other needle that I had pushed back. And that includes this extra end needle down here, because it's an even number. So the end needle is the empty one. So there I have my needles all in place. This is when I reset my row counter to 0. And now I'm going to knit 10 rows. Here's my 10th row. I'm going to up my tension 1 click for the next row. But in the meantime, I'm going to take off my hardware. Remember those needles that were out of work? I'm going to push those up just a little bit so that they're more pronounced on the edge. Okay? Just a little bit. The tool of choice is going to be my 3-prong tool. And I'm going to hang my first row of knitting on those needles. I'm using the outer eyelets of the 3-prong tool to pick up those stitches because they are every other needle. Alright, now I can push them back. We can remove the waste yarn if we want at this point, or we can hang it up and leave it there. And I'm going to pull these all out to hold just to help it along on this row. This is where I'm hanging my weight. Now, for this row, I've upped my tension 1 click on my carriage. And that's just so that the hem hangs a little bit better. And it's only on this row. So I'm going to knit across 1 row and then immediately return it to my main tension, which is 5. We've just created a Picot hem. And now all we need to do is knit until row counter is 53. So that's 11 now. And 53. Now notice my carriage is on the left, because at this point I'm going to cut my yarn and I'm going to leave myself about 12 inches so that I can come back and seam this side. Let that go and thread up with my contrasting color. Going to knit 1 row. There we go. And my carriage is now on the right. Now I'm going to unthread my carriage. I knit my first row in the contrasting color. And this is where I'm going to take and turn my work, because the yoke is done with the purl side out. And this is the back side of the work right now. So now, let me take that tension off of that. Good. All right, now I'm going to push my knitting back with my garter bar so that all the stitches are behind the latches. That opens the latches, and then I'm going to move my weights up, because garter bar loves the weight. So I'm going to put my garter bar in place and bring my knitting forward. To close the latches and push it right on to the garter bar. Now since we're turning it, we're going to push the latches open again. So they're all open. We're going to turn our work. Now that I have my work turned, I'm going to align it, make sure my latches are open, align it with the edge stitches, bring it forward like so. And I don't have this part on, but I'll try and get it. There we go. Pull it down, make sure they're clear, and we're going to just drop our garter bar out of place. Push the stitches back to the needle bed. By doing it the way we did it, the peekaboo purl stitch color change is on the inside and not on the outside. I have my carriage in hold so that I can take a free pass, and that counts as row 55. Now make sure I take it out of hold so I can then knit until row counter is 94. That's pretty easy. Same tension. So I have 94. These 14 are staying in work. All the rest of the needles are going to hold position. I'm setting my carriage to hold. I'm still on tension 5. I'm going to take this up 3 full numbers, so it'll be tension 8. And I'm going to knit 1 row. So my carriage is now on the left. What I did was I did that on purpose so that I can have a really loose latch tool bind off. And I'm just being careful. So I am going a little slower than usual because I don't want to either have the stitches fall off or split, because I want that to be nice and neat at the shoulder. And there I have 1 more stitch to go right here. Pull that off and is hang that loop right there on the next stitch over. I'm moving the 14 needles on the left shoulder to the upper work position. So my tension is at main tension plus 3, which is 8 in this case, and I'm going to knit 1 row. There we go. So now, because it's a 1 row thing, I can cut this yarn and I can latch from either the right or the left. Take these needles out of work. Now I have my neckline to do. So at this point, all I'm going to do is turn my work again. Now I got to pull my knitting a little bit away so I can drop my garter plate right there in the center. And once again, push the knitting back. Now in this case, because I had to pull the knitting forward, I'm using a little latch opener just to make sure all my latches are open Makes it a lot easier. And I'm going to just bring this over to here. Okay, open those latches, flip my knitting, and here go on. Pull it down to make sure I did it and drop it off. Now, thread up with the blue, which is our main color. Make sure your tension is returned to the main tension. Take the stopper off, and we're going to knit one row. There we go. Isn't that nice? Okay, now we're going to take our work and turn it yet again. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I don't have that peekaboo bump coming through on my right side. Remember, this is the wrong side, so the bump for the blue is where it changes from one color to the other is on the inside. So now I'm going to push this back, open all the latches, put my garter bar in place, pull the knitting off, open all the latches, turn it yet again, line these back up, pop them all into place, and this second stitch on this side is going to hang up. I can see that, so we're going to see if we can clear it, and if not, I'll have to fix it after the fact. Okay, move all my needles out to hold, put my carriage in hold, and I'm taking a free pass to get back over on the right side because my yarn is on the right. Take up the slack. My main tension is 5, but I'm going to click it up 1 click to 5 1/2 because I'm going to knit 3 rows. And children's heads are always bigger than their body proportionately. So I'm going to knit across and knit 3 rows. Click my tension up 3 full numbers, maybe even a little bit more, and knit my last row. Now I'm going to latch tool off. Now we're going to make one more just like this. In part 2, how to machine knit the easy toddler pullover, we focus on the sleeves. Whether you prefer fun stripes or sassy solids, they are easy to knit. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos and events. Happy machine knitting!